Hey guys, this is going to be a quick video on adding storage repository to your XCP-ng host. And the reason I want to do this is because I don't have it on mine, and I went to go install or create a new VM rather, and I want to install a Ubuntu server, and I don't have any ISOs out there for doing the OS install, and I don't have anywhere to put them. So doing some quick research, it looks like you just need to create a storage repository under new storage, and we're just going to go through those steps on my host. This is the first time I've done it, so might run into some weird problems. Who knows? But basically, we're going to do this together, and I think I'm going to put mine under a different folder than the default that the guide says to do. So if you go to this XCP-ng blog article, they say the quick and dirty is to just create a new SR and then put it under the media folder, or directory. So if you go to /media on your XCP host, you see there's nothing in there, so that's accurate. If you don't want to use the media directory, their recommendation is that you put under var opt and you create a XEM folder in here, and you could store it in there. Either one would work, I think. If there's nothing in media right now, there's not likely to be anything in media in the future, so it's probably not a bad location. Just stick it under media, and so I think that's what I'll probably do. So what we're going to do is go to new. My Zen Orchestra, I'm going to go to new storage. I'm going to select this host, there's only one host. Storage name, we're going to say ISOs. And it contains ISO files for OS installs, etc. Storage value is going to be an ISO SR local. And then the path, we're going to go ahead and just stick it right under media. It's fine with me. Storage usage, none, and then create. And this should create an ISO storage. So now I think if I go over to home and I go to storage, I'll probably see my ISO storage that I just created. It says 18 gigs used, free. It's very interesting. I wonder if you can expand that size, because 18 gigs is not very big. I would think that I could easily fill that. So it didn't ask me the size, so that's interesting. But one thing I want to do then is I want to try uploading some files to this ISO storage. And new disk. So I don't think you do new disk here. I think what you do is you do an import, and you import a disk. So we're going to try that. So I'm going to say import to SR ISOs, and then you can drag the ISO. So I have this Ubuntu 2204.4 live server ISO, and this is the one that I want to start working with and install. So we're going to go ahead and try this guy by just dragging it in. 1.96 gigs, that's good. I'm also going to throw some other ones in there. Why not? Oh, I can only do one at a time. Okay, that's fine. Let's import that. Not quite sure how long this is going to take, honestly. Maybe this status bar will show me something, or maybe I'll get nothing while it uploads. Very interesting. 0 status. Maybe it's under tasks. Let's go to tasks and watch. There we go. So if you go over to tasks on the Zen Orchestra page, you can see the progress. This is pretty fast. I mean, it says 16 seconds, 26 seconds ago. So it takes about 30 seconds to copy 2 gigs. And there we go. So now I've got, so now if you go to home, storage, ISOs, disk, you can see my ISO right there. That's excellent. So I'm going to go ahead and import another disk. And we are going to go back to the ISOs again. And I'm going to drag this Zorin. Let's import that guy. Let's go to tasks. It's pretty fast. So while I'm doing that, let's go ahead and try creating a new VM. So if we go to home VMs new, I want to create it in this pool. The template concept is interesting. There's so many in here. I would imagine you could go through this and like delete them, but I'm going to pick the 2204 template. It just sets the CPU and RAM, I believe, is all it's doing, and maybe the guest OS option of Linux or something. So I'm going to go ahead and say the name. We're going to call this one GXOA. How's that? And then we're going to say XOA from source. And I'll make another video on that, but basically what I'm going to be doing is installing the Zen Orchestra from source instead of from the quick install link. Wow, look at that. That's a very unfortunate that it does that. So it finished the task and then just basically takes me straight to the ISO page. So everything I was just doing on my page over here just got blown away. Very, very rude, quite frankly. Okay, so let's go back to Ubuntu 2204, name GXOA, XOA from source. That means I'll get all the features and I won't have to pay for it. Topology, 1 socket with 2 cores. That sounds the best. ISO, we are going to pick Ubuntu server. And pool wide, that sounds good to me. Auto-generated MAC address, that sounds good to me. Very interesting name for the disk. So I'm going to go ahead and say, I don't know, I'm going to say _1, created by XO. Okay. Say boot volume. XOA boot disk. Size is definitely not going to be 50 gigs. That's absolutely bonkers. Can I set thin provisions somewhere? Or is that just by default in the storage? Very interesting. I'm going to go with 60 gigs. I'm going to go with 50 gigs. I don't know. I'm going to go with 60 gigs. I'm very indecisive today. Okay, so I think I don't see anything about storage thin or thick. So we're going to assume that it is thin. I'm going to create it anyways. So we're going to go ahead and create that VM. Okay, so if I go to disks, it says that, oh, it does say thin. 789 gigs thin. So thin is good. But I wonder why it's already at 789. If I'm thin provisioning these, then it shouldn't consume the full 60 gigs. So that's very interesting that it is telling me that I've used, oh, I haven't used, okay, so I've used 48. Okay, that makes sense. And that's because I imported my Windows disk, and this one probably literally is using 40 gigs because it's the full Windows install. This one's probably empty. I don't know what this disk is. That must be the current XOA that's out there, so we'll leave it alone. That's kind of interesting that it names them like this. Good thing I named it that way, because otherwise, how would I? You'd want to relate the storage disk name to the VM name, I would think. So in VMware, your VMs and stuff that kind of all sit in the same directory, and this seems to be doing it a little bit differently. So I would recommend naming the disk the same as the VM itself. That way you can connect them mentally really quick. Like, I know it shows you that here, but then if you're just browsing, you can see, yeah, it makes sense to name consistent across the board. So, so that's it. So that's how you add a storage repository, put some ISOs in it so that you can create some VMs on your system. Hope this was useful for you guys.